Hey everyone, Karen the Warp Spinster here. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like what you see here, it helps other people to find the channel. This week I want to do a bit of a variation on something we did a few weeks ago. This is the wire fence. I will do my best to remember to link that video below. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to do today, I didn't have this in mind at all. It actually is based sort of on a shower curtain that I had years and years ago that I've always loved. And as I started thinking about what I wanted to do, it's like, it's kind of a lot like this, sort of, a lot. Anyway, that's one of the things that I really value about doing this kind of experimentation and play. Even if this never ended up being a quilt, and honestly it's likely that it will be something at some point because I really like it, but it also informs me on other things that I might want to do. So there may be aspects of this that I really like and want to pursue in a little different way, or I may have found out I just don't like it at all, or there's this combination, I like this, or I like having this piece in the center that is in opposition to this because it's vertical and brights and this is horizontal and more focus on the blacks. And I like the circles. I don't remember if we had the circles, honestly, in the other video. We probably did because, me. So anyway, I want to do something similar to this, except that I want to make this piece, I want it to have curves rather than straight lines. And maybe it will just be an additional piece on this quilt that I do. And I may want to do opposition like this, horizontal, vertical, maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking I want something in between, and maybe even that I want a black background on one and a white background on the next one, and then in between it will have the black and white that sort of transitions into it. Unclear about that yet, but I want to start out with doing probably a longer piece than this and have some curves in it. And I don't care that the curves are going to be even width all the way down. Probably don't want them to be, actually. I like that these straight ones are even all the way down, just in keeping with the wire sort of look, but I'm not necessarily looking for that with the curves. So I'm going to start out with the black one, I think. Again, I will be using brights. I could, of course, use stripes, but I think I'm going to use brights and then have the stripe in between here. I have several widths of stripes, so we'll see how that goes. And I think maybe I'll piece curves on one, and then on the second one, the white one, I will try doing an applique, which will either be a bias tube kind of thing that I make, or fusible. Not sure which. Might do the bias tube thing. We'll see how it plays out. But to start off, I'm going to find some black for a background, have longer strips here, and we'll probably still try to have 3 because an odd number is better than an even. I think I'm going to start with this. I had originally thought that I would do solid curved strips and then the circles would be prints, but I think I'm going to do it the other way, partly because the prints actually are long enough for this piece that I'm doing. Let me turn it here so you can see. It all fits on the mat, but the camera won't show it all. So I'm going to start off with a curve here, and I will cut both of these at the same time. And I want it to be fairly gentle, but we're all getting comfortable with doing curves now, right? And all right, I'm going to put my glove on. because I know it makes some of you nervous if I don't have finger protection. I feel comfortable doing it, but I don't want to make you all nervous. So because I have 2 layers here that are going to want to shift as I move, I'm going to use this to keep from cutting myself. All right, that's a very gentle curve. Now, when I do the other curve, I'm not going to try to follow this one. So I'm not going to now take this piece and try to match it up with this one. I might shift it, or I might cut a completely different curve, because I really don't care about this being a consistent width. So first of all, I'm going to sew this piece, and then we'll come back. I think the next part of the curve will be less gentle. I was being very gentle here. So making sure that I have the curve matched up. I shifted things when I moved that. I'll be doing right sides together. Flip this up here. Ordinarily, I would try to have the convex on the side, on the top, but I don't have any way I can put the convex on the top. So I'm just going to have to do the concave, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to have to do concave now and again anyway because it's a serpentine. So I will just put them right sides together, 1/4 inch seam, needle down on my presser foot, and as I'm moving down, I will be lifting this up, not stretching it, just lifting it up to move it over into place, going slowly as I need to. And as I'm sewing, I'm making sure that the 1/4 inch that I measure, however I'm measuring it at the point that the needle is going in. My tendency is to look at the front of the presser foot because the edge of the presser foot is how I measure 1/4 inch. And that doesn't do me any good, especially on a steeper curve. You have to watch it where the needle is. So slow and steady will win the race, and we'll be back to cut the next curve. This curve is quite gentle, as you can see, and now I'm ready to cut the next curve, and I may shift it up. I'm remembering that I have a 1/4 inch seam I still have to do, so I can't cut too close. So I could shift it up and make it, I cut a pretty even slice there. So I think I'm going to do something like this and cut a different curve now. So I want some of it to be wider and some of it narrower. And I want to make sure that I'm not following that curve specifically, because I don't want it to look like that. We'll see. Maybe it's going to anyway. It's hard for me to not do that. All right. So we've got this, and same thing, sewing the next one. I'm going to mark where the edge is here, just so when I'm turning it the other way, I won't lose track of that, and I will go and sew this seam. And I'm happy with that curvy line. It's kind of a straight curved line. It's fairly vertical on the whole, on the average. So I'm going to find 2 more strips and then do the same thing. And we'll come back and take a look at that and how we might do some circles on it. And here are my curvy stripes, curvy straight lines, whatever. And I just pulled out the 3 circles that I had for the rail fence thing just to see. I don't necessarily, in my mind, I'm not necessarily seeing them right on top of the strips. They look kind of like bubbles when it's horizontal, don't they? Yep. In my mind's eye, it's vertical, so that's how I'm going to go. And I like the varying widths of these strips. I think I might want different size circles. And I think I probably in the end will do hand applique just because I enjoy doing that, but we can at least visualize it with some circles. I think I will go cut a few different sizes of circles and out of solids. This one's probably close enough, but I want to try it with solid colors for the circles. 3 different sizes here. I will confess that I wasn't entirely sure that I wanted to put dots on this because I love it this way. So maybe I will have blocks or pieces that don't have the circles on it. But I think for now I do like them, and I do like 3 different sizes and having them be in solids. And these colors do appear in here at some point in each of these things, but I don't know that that matters that much to me. And 3 dots, if I'd wanted more, I would have done 5 because odd number. So I'm liking this. And next up, we want to do one on white, and I think I'm going to start with a fused strip, and then I will do one that is, I think, a bias strip. I'll use a bias tape maker and use that. And the third one, I don't know. I'll find which of those 2 I like better and do it that way. Of course, if we're appliquing, we're going to have to face our usual questions of what thread are we going to use and what stitch are we going to use. But we will cross that particular stitch bridge when we get there. For now, I'm going to pull out some more strips and a white background. I've chosen 3 different strips. I'm going to start with this one. I have a white background here. One of the advantages of doing mostly black and white backgrounds is that you have lots of scraps and pieces of fabric. So I'm going to take this one, and this is going to be our fused piece. So the first thing I want to do is to fuse that onto some fusible web. All right, this has been fused. Now, the interesting thing to think about as we're cutting this is we can be really freeform. They don't have to be shallow curves. But if we are going to do, say, a zigzag stitch or some decorative stitch in order to stitch it down, then if it's very narrow, then the stitches may actually overlap. So I may end up using a pretty narrow stitch when I do this. But I don't have to worry about this being a gentle curve. I use that for something else because I don't have to piece it in, and I don't have to leave seam allowances. But I do want to be sure that I'm going to have some stitching room. This may be pushing my luck, but we'll see how it goes. I may use invisible thread, possibly. This is cool. I can use this for another block. So if I am going to make more of these blocks, make a quilt, then I will be able to use those other pieces. Now, I want to go ahead and do this second one that I think I am going to fuse, the one that's going to be on the right-hand side. So I'm going to do the same thing. I put the curve down, then I can stitch both of them at the same time, and then I'll do the inside one. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to see the difference in how I put these together. If there's if I have a preference for one of them, either in terms of their looks or how easy or much fun it is to do or not do it that way, but just to have a good comparison of things. That's part of the whole exploring and figuring things out. I may find out this is just not going to work for me, but we'll see. So I will fuse this one, cut another strip, fuse them, and then I think I might use an invisible thread. So I will use a monopoly from Superior Threads. It's very fine, very nice. I also have some pre-wound bobbins with that, which makes life easier. Those are my next steps. I will return. All right, it worked out fine. I did use invisible thread, which is really quite invisible here. Even on the very narrowest pieces, I didn't overlap because I used a 1.5 width. But even if I had with the invisible thread, it wouldn't have been particularly noticeable. At some point, I think I want to try doing some white thread instead of the invisible thread. But I'm pretty sure I won't like it as well because it will be distracting, because that will be consistent width on the stitch, and I think it's the moving in and out may really distract from it somehow. All right, now for this one, I was thinking about a bias tape, but that's going to be a consistent width. But let's give it a try anyway, because we'll just see how it looks. Maybe we like a consistent width. Maybe yes, maybe no. And I am going to use my 1/4 inch bias tape maker from Clover, and I will put down in the description, I hope, a link to the video where I showed how I use that to do a bias tape. And then I will come back and figure out how I want to drape the bias strip. And now I have a bias strip that I can just wind however I like across here. It's going to be a consistent width, which frankly I think looks a little dull at this point, don't you? Maybe I'm not liking that so much. Yeah. We're going to try it, see how it ends up. And I'll just be kind of winding it around as I stitch. I'm still going to use the invisible thread. And, or should I do white? No, I'm going to do invisible thread. And, all right, second guessing myself. White or invisible thread? White or invisible thread? I'm going to do white because we want to see how that looks. And since this is a consistent width, it shouldn't be as distracting as if it were on inconsistent width. And here is the piece with the final strip on. I don't mind it being consistent width so much, but I don't think I would have liked all of them to be consistent width. Now, if we take the same 3 pieces we had before, just to check it out, and I think that looks pretty good. I think I probably like the black better, but it's all a question of taste, right? Now, in between, we have some choices, and I want, I think, a stripe. I will put something out here for today, and then I have a few more ideas that have come up while I'm doing this that I want to explore next week, but let's try a stripe in here. I have pulled out just a few stripes here of different widths. So we have this one. So again, what I'm envisioning in my head, and I don't know if this is going to happen, but I want to transition from the black to the white, so the black and white sort of moves between the two. And I don't know how wide I might or might not want it. There's also the possibility of doing a curve. And initially I was thinking, no, I don't want that. I want a contrast between these two. But maybe I don't. I'm uncertain. And then we have an extra wide, which I have more length of it, but not up here at the moment. So I'll just fake it with some short pieces I have here, just to get the idea. And I think that really gives it kind of more of a transition, doesn't it? Do we want more or less? Not sure. You know how much I love stripes, so I tend to want to put more in there, but then does that detract from what's going on here? And then we have this varying width. Which I think is not bold enough for what I have in my head. So I think that one is a no-go on this one. Then I do have a diagonal stripe. This happens to be a bias strip, but I do have a diagonal stripe. I don't know. I think that's too much contrast of direction. Maybe it just wants to be wider. Not sure. And then this is just a short strip I happen to have of a polka dot, which might be kind of fun with these circles. I really need to have a longer strip of that to see, don't I? It is not my beloved black and white stripe. I'm actually kind of moving toward this wide stripe. I don't know. I'm not going to sew this today, so you can please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about it. I'll have more things to revisit next week, but I'm sort of inclined toward that. In fact, I think I might go cut a strip of that so I can see how it looks without all this peeking through. I have two different widths here. Well, the stripe is the same width, but different widths on the strips because I love these and I had strips already cut, so why not, right? It really needs to be the narrower one, don't you think? Because if it's too wide, then it overpowers the two blocks. And this edge isn't quite straight since the piecing, so, or maybe it wasn't to begin with. This looks a little on the curvy side. But I'm tending toward this. Someone had commented, I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but the wire fence piece reminded her of a staff, musical staff, and notes on it. And, you know, I think we got some whole notes going on here, maybe. So, all right, some things to ponder, and I do want to hear your thoughts on what should go in between here. I have a couple more thoughts, but I look forward to hearing what you have to say about that. And we'll leave this here for this week. Next week we'll explore some more some ideas that you have, plus a couple that I have. Maybe they're the same. I hope I will see you next week for that. In the meantime, be well, be safe, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.